What's going on, guys? Big welcome to you all to our channel. We are Team Crushing the Meta. You are here with D-Boy and we are back with another deck profile. This time we will do Greedon. So Greedon from the D series. I'm very excited for this card or this deck to come out because this is really a very fun deck to play and it's very different than Bruce or normally how Spike would work. And for me to be able to play this deck, I'm actually really excited. I'm not that excited about playing Baron Magnus or all the other right line that we have got from the D series except Bruce and this card. So I'm finally very happy to be able to play this. And one of the reasons why I like playing this card is all of these beautiful creepy monsters that we have, the Desire Devils. And just the name by itself is enough for me to play it. Look how well dressed this beautiful badass dragon is. Alright, so let's just jump into the deck profile, explain it. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. And let me know if you will play this deck, and if you do, what's your build. Because you could build it differently because you have space for lots of cards. In this build, I actually kept it simple, so you guys could build it and try it yourself, and then with time you could change the deck around a little bit. So this is basically your right line, and we start with the starter, which is pretty easy, very simple, the same as all of the other starters. Just right on the top of it. If you go second, you draw. That's it. That's basically it. This cute, beautiful starter, I will definitely try to get an SP because, yeah, look at it. Next card we have right here is the Desire Devil, the great one from the light line, and this badass thingy, I don't know what it's supposed to be, is actually pretty good. It's a demon, of course. So what it does is, it said when this unit is rolled upon by the grade 2, you reveal a Greedon from your right deck and you draw a card. So it's just an easy draw that you will get if you play Greedon in your right deck. So you could not play it in Bruce, but yeah, it's just really good card, just pretty easy draw. The Vanguard skill we will go later on when we get into the Vanguards. So then we get into the grade 2, and then when you write the grade 2 on the top of the grade 1, of course you will draw. Then the skill of the grade 2 said when this unit is rolled upon by Greedon, put a card from your hand into your soul and search your deck for a card with the same card name as this card, reveal it and put it into your hand. So it's not a +1 because it requires you to put a card from your hand into your soul, but it's just really good to put those cards that you want into your soul and then to search himself out of the deck. It's good because his second ability, which is the Vanguard ability, which we'll explain right away, is during your turn, if your damage has 4 or more cards, and if you have Greedon as your Vanguard will get extra 5k. So for every copy of it, because that skill comes out of the soul, it's a continuous and it's in your turn, of course. So for every card, for every copy of him in your soul, your Greedon will get an extra 5k, which is good because it will make your Greedon pretty huge. And then Greedon himself, of course, this bad boy has the 2 abilities. The first one is a continuous ability. If your soul has a Greedon, the number of cards in your damage that you could get or for you to lose becomes 7. So you could take 1 more damage. And that skill is very good because you could play it very smart for your opponent to be impossible for them to heal. So you could always be up on damage on your opponents. But it does require you to have a Greedon in your soul. Sometimes you randomly soul charge it, or you just when you like ride on top of him for the persona ride, you will be able to have the Greedon in your soul, of course. The second ability, which is the whole deck runs around the second ability, is at the end of the battle, this unit attacked, you soul blast 2 and put 4 standing rear guards into your soul, and then you stand this unit. If your soul has 10 or more cards, this unit get an extra 15k. So you attack twice with your Vanguard. That's basically the whole idea behind the deck. Alright, so this is the right line. Let's talk about the other cards that you will get. When you get to the grade 3 lineup, of course you play as much Greedons as you can play. So you play 3 more for a total of 4 Greedons. That's basically easy to understand. So 4 Greedon. Then the last grade 3 that you play in this deck is Time Chatter Dragon, I think. Charter Dragon. So this card is actually really good in this deck. You could play more of him if you want, so I like him at 2. I didn't find it necessary to have more. The first thing that's good about it is the 13k beater, so it's good to have as that 5th rearguard to not put into your soul, but it's also good to put into your soul because its skill is on place. And what it does is when you place this card on your rearguard circle, you put a card from your hand into your soul and draw a card. And as you know, with his ability, he searches himself, and with more of these cards, they search cards to your hand, or you get them to your hand, or sometimes you have cards that you want in your soul. With this, you could just pretty much easy put them into your soul, and it just refresh your hand by drawing you a new card. So again, a very good card. I do like it a lot, and to have 2 copies of it in the deck is in my eyes more than enough. So that would be just 5 extra grade 3s. When it comes to grade 2s, of course you will play 3 more copies of the one that you could put into your soul to make your Greedon stronger. So you do play 3 more copies with the one, of course, that you already played in your right deck. And then we have a new Desire Devil that we play right here. And this is the, which you have a grade 1 and a grade 2 that you kind of have to play at 4. For this card's ability, it has 2 abilities. The first one is Auto. When this unit is placed on your rearguard from your hand, if your Vanguard is Greedon, you'll Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 2. So it's pretty heavy cost. The Soul Blast 2 is kind of heavy because you want the 15 soul for your Greedon. And Counterblast 1 is kind of okay in this deck because this deck doesn't Counterblast too much. So Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 2, choose a card from your soul and call it to rearguard. So this could actually just give you a +1 out of your soul, and that card that you will get back could also be something that could give you pluses. But basically, it's all about having enough rearguards for your Greedon skill to go off because you want 4 standing rearguards. So this card could help with that. You could say, yo, I would like to play him at 2 or at 1, pretty much up to you. Basically, you would never like to play less than 3, at least 3. So yeah, that's my opinion. The second ability is an auto ability on rearguard. When your Vanguard attacks, if you persona route this turn, choose one of your Vanguards and it gets power plus 5k until the end of turn. That skill you could use in other decks as well, as long as you persona right. But it's very good in Greedon because if this is the standing rearguards that you leave, you could give your Vanguard 2 times the 5k. But even if it's on the first attack, you still give your Greedon extra 5k that your Greedon will use in both attacks. So in my opinion, a very good card to have in the deck. Last but not least, for the grade 2s, we have the Crimson big ass grade 2 that we never really used from set 2. I didn't even bother to get this card in SP. I got one for collection, but that's basically it. Alright, so this guy has 2 abilities and it's all about the second ability. But the first ability is when this unit attacks a Vanguard, you could soul charge 1. It's really good to have this in the early game, put it on the field and just pressure your opponent with it a little bit, and you get the soul, which is good because you want the soul for Greedon. The second ability is an act ability for if you have this in your soul, you Counterblast 1 and then you put this card from your soul into the drop zone. Then you soul charge 1, so you're not losing the soul. You soul charge 1 and then you choose one of your Vanguards and it gets plus 10k. The 10k is very effective because your Greedon will attack twice, so you're actually giving an extra 20k. So this is huge. Sometimes you use one of it each turn, sometimes you want to use more, pretty much up to you, up to the counter blasts you have left. But again, a very good card because even if it soul blasts itself, you basically get the soul charge back. So play that 4. For the grade 1s, we play the one from the right deck also 3 times extra. And again, this is a card that some people will not agree with me. They say, yo, hey, you don't want so much of it, just play 1 or 2 extra in the deck. Why do you play 3? Well, I actually like the skill a lot and I want to get it off. So the second ability, which is the ability that you have as a rearguard, is then when this unit is put from the Vanguard into your soul, and if you're by your Vanguard ability, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you count +1, and then until the end of turn, when your opponent would call cards from his or her hand to the Guardian Circle, they may have to call 2 or more at the same time. So it doesn't work on the first attack because it needs to get to your soul with your Vanguard ability, which will be at the second attack of Greedon. But then your opponent would have to guard the second attack with 2 or more cards and the Vanguard attack with 2 more cards. I'm not that big of a fan of this card, so maybe I will cut 1 and just leave 2 in the deck. I think that that's more than enough, but it's pretty much up to you. As I said, I wanted to make the deck as easy to build as I could for you guys. But again, this is the first card that you may cut out if you want to run something different. Alright, next is another card that you actually could cut out if you want to run something different, and that's because of the cost of this card. So the ability is really good, but the cost is very heavy. So the first ability is, when this unit is placed on the Vanguard Circle, if you persona at this turn, you soul charge 1. Pretty good ability. Then the second ability, when this card is put from Vanguard Circle into your soul by your Vanguard's ability, Counterblast 2. Choose one of your Vanguards and that gets the extra 5k and a drive +1. The thing is, that's pretty good, but it will only activate on the second attack, and that's when this card will get into your soul. And some people find the cost very heavy with a Counterblast of 2, so they cut 1 out and they play only 3. But for me, I would play 4. Why? Because you really want to get this skill off. I mean, this is the best skill. You basically get 5k to your finger, but also an extra drive check, which is very effective. So why not play 4? For me, definitely keep it at 4. Maybe in the future I will cut 1 out to play only 3. That's also alright. So at least 3 on 2. For the last great one that we play in the deck, except the Perfect Guard, is of course 3 copies of Gonerum. This is an amazing card and it fits really good in this deck. Sometimes you give up soul to draw the extra card, and sometimes you just need the soul, so you keep the soul. But this is a very flexible card that you could just put on the field, very easy put into your soul, and it's kind of very good, right? And the last but not least is of course the 4 copies of the Perfect Guard. So as you can see right here, for the great ones, we have space for 2 more cards that we could put into the deck if we take one of him out and one of him. I will put these right here, which will come back later on and talk about what are the other options that you could put into your deck if you want to spice it up a little bit. For the triggers, of course, you play the Dark State over trigger. I mean, this is basically made for this deck. You could get it, your Vanguard gets the extra crit and the plus 10k, and Greedon will have that on all of his attacks, and that's just amazing. That's crazy. That's what you want. This is, again, this trigger is made for this deck and for Gear Chronicle if you're playing Premium. I also play 3 draw triggers. I don't want to play more than 3. 3 I find is the right number, and then I of course play all out crits because crits are crits, and Greedon will restand. And because he will restand, he loves his crits. And for the heals, I of course like to play the Ariana. The Arianas, this and these could be changed for the crit that goes to your soul for the extra power. But that's just stupid because you want these have more power, but it doesn't really make it that big of a difference because you will never use the ability because you want standing rear guards. So you could put it into your soul for that extra soul if you want to. So you would definitely take these out for the other one, but basically you'll play the 8 crits in this deck. You could play 7 crits on 4 draws if you want to, but I would play the 8 crits. Alright, so we've talked about the triggers, talked about the great one, talked about everything, and now we want to take these 2 cards out and what do we want to put in the deck. Some people could argue with me and say, yo, you could take also one of him out. Again, up to you. Some people could argue with me and say you could take one of this card out as you want. but I would not do that. I'd like this card to have at 4 in the deck. So these are the cards that you want to take out. For this, it's also I like to keep at 4, just these two. Alright, so what are the options? The first option that we have is the common grade 2 that we will get from the new set. This card is actually quite good because it said if you have soul charge this turn, and it's only once per turn by a card ability, you could just counterblast 1 to draw an extra card. And that's really good because you need a soul charge and you need a persona ride for this skill to get off, but it just does get you the extra draw, and it's a good card to play at 1 or 2 in the deck. The other good card that you could play is of course the one who gets more shield value, and when you guard with it, it also goes to your soul, and that's also pretty good because again in this deck you need more soul. So these are the options. The other option is of course you could play the 4th copy of Gunrum because again it's a very good flexible card that you could run in the deck as well. Again, up to you to have whatever you like to have in the deck. For me, I'm actually a big fan of this card, but because you already pay lots of counterblasters, you would rather play 1 counterblast more and get the extra drive check, but sometimes you don't have that. And also this card is less flexible because it needs a persona ride, it needs a soul charge, it kind of asks too much and still costs you to pay a counterblast. Well, with Gunrum, it's actually just very easy. It's a good card to put in the early game. I mean, even has persona ride. So yeah, for me, definitely a good card to play. I will not choose for you guys. I will leave it up to you to choose between this, or the last Gunrum, or keep these in there. For me, I really don't find it necessary to play the 4 copies of this. I think that the guard restrict is kind of nice, kind of cute, but if you don't get it on the first attack, there is no need to. But I'm a big fan of this card. There is another card that you could also play. I forgot about him, but it's also a nice card, and that's another Desire Demon. I didn't even cut him yet. This card has, of course, the ability in your soul. If your Vanguard is a Greedon, you may put this card into the drop zone to choose one of your Vanguards and get the extra 5k. The skill is actually free, so that makes it good. It's another Desire Demon, which I like to have all of these copies, so I could play a random copy of him in the deck, but that's pretty much up to whatever you like to do, if you want to or not. This I kind of like to play at 4 and just keep him in the deck, because when you get him, you could use his ability, and if you only play 3 copies of him, then there is a chance that you will not get him. So I will just cut the extra copy of this because it's another Desire Demon and just put it in the deck. Alright guys, so have you ever tried this deck? If you haven't, you could try it because it's lots of fun to play. When the deck will come out, of course, I will do another deck profile to show you the complete deck with some of the beautiful SPs from the raid line as well, and put them for you guys to check out. And if you guys want to see this deck against another deck, you could also let me know, and we will try to do some of the matches for you guys. I know that Sparkles is getting all of his beautiful Bermudas from these series, I still call them Bermudas, and he will make, of course, multiple decks, so we could also check those out. And otherwise, we have lots of other decks to play against. So thank you for watching, thank you for tuning in to our channel, thank you for subscribing, liking, and commenting. And again, let me know in the comment section below, if you're playing this deck, what's the build you're going with? Will you be making a different build than mine? I've seen lots of different builds on YouTube or Facebook or whatever social media, and most people are just going crazy and going ham with the deck. I think the thing that I really want to do is I want to play at least one of each Desire Demon or Desire Devil. So there will be some changes because I just like to play all of them, to just put them in the deck and have a little bit of fun with it. Again, I'm playing this deck as more of a fun deck, so that's why I'm putting one copy of this. But I think there's one more Desire Demon that I'm not playing, which is a card that came out a bit later. So yeah, I think that I will maybe put that in the deck as well. Alright guys, thank you for watching. Until next time.